The heavy mahogany door swings shut behind them, and the silence in the corridor feels thick enough to choke on. Kunle's fists are clenched so tight his knuckles have gone white, veins bulging along his forearms like rope pulled taut. Beside him, David walks with measured steps, his face unreadable, eyes fixed straight ahead. The lawyer's words still echo in the marble hallway. The estate, in its entirety, goes to David Adebayo. Kunle stops walking. His chest heaves once, twice. David keeps moving toward the elevator. "Say something," Kunle finally hisses through gritted teeth. David presses the call button, still silent. "I said say something." Kunle's voice cracks against the walls. David turns slowly, and there's something in his expression, something that looks almost like pity, and that makes everything worse. "What do you want me to say, brother?" The elevator dings. David steps inside. Kunle watches the doors close between them, and in that shrinking gap, he sees his younger brother's face one last time before the metal meets, before everything changes, before the war begins.
Fair African Tales. Subscribe and turn on the bell for new stories.
The news spreads through Lagos like smoke from a burning market. By evening, WhatsApp groups are buzzing. By morning, the blogs have picked it up. Adebayo brothers in inheritance war. Kunle sits in his apartment, scrolling through the comments, each one feeding the fire in his chest. Someone has leaked details, twisted facts, made him look like the villain. His phone rings. Unknown number. He answers. "Your father would be ashamed," a voice says before the line goes dead. Kunle throws the phone across the room. It shatters against the wall, screen splintering into a web of cracks. His girlfriend, Amara, emerges from the bedroom, concern etched into her features. "Baby, you need to calm down." "Calm down? My brother just stole my inheritance, and you want me to calm down?" She reaches for his hand. He pulls away. "Our father built that empire from nothing. I was there. I worked in those warehouses every summer while David was in his room reading books. I earned that money. Your father made his choice, Kunle. My father was manipulated. David got to him at the end when he was weak, when the cancer had eaten his brain." Amara's expression shifts, something between disappointment and fear. "Listen to yourself." But Kunle isn't listening anymore. He's already planning. The next morning, Kunle sits across from Barrister Okonkwo in a cramped office that smells of old paper and ambition. The lawyer is young, hungry, the kind who advertises on Instagram. Perfect. "I need you to contest the will," Kunle says, sliding an envelope across the desk. Okonkwo doesn't open it yet. "On what grounds?" "Undue influence. My father had stage 4 cancer. He wasn't in his right mind." "Do you have proof your brother influenced him?" "I'll get it." Okonkwo finally opens the envelope. His eyes widen slightly at the stack of cash inside. "I'll need witnesses, medical records, timeline of events." "Whatever you need," Kunle says, leaning forward. "I want everything that's mine." The lawyer nods slowly, already calculating his fees. "I'll draw up the papers." Kunle starts making calls. Old family friends, distant cousins, anyone who might have seen something, heard something, anything he can use. Most of them are uncomfortable, evasive. His uncle Tunda is the first to say it plainly. "Leave it alone, Kunle. Your father knew what he was doing." "You don't understand, uncle." "I understand greed when I see it, and I'm looking at it right now." The line goes dead. Kunle stares at his phone. The word greed bouncing around his skull like a trapped bird. No, this isn't greed. This is justice. This is what he's owed. He tries his father's old business partner next. Mr. Adeyemi ran the Lagos office for 15 years, knew every corner of the empire. Did you notice anything strange in my father's last months? Did David visit him alone? Did they have private conversations? Adeyemi's voice is careful, measured. Your brother visited, yes, but so did you, Kunle? That's not what I'm asking. Then I don't know what to tell you. Another dead end. But Kunle isn't deterred. He hires a private investigator, a man named Chidi, who works out of a one-room office in Surulere. Chidi has the look of someone who's seen everything twice and been disappointed both times. I need you to follow my brother, find out who he's meeting, what he's doing, where the money is going. Chidi takes notes without judgment. Daily rate is 50,000. Done. Cash up front. Kunle counts out the bills. Chidi sweeps them into a drawer without counting. 3 days later, Kunle gets a call. Your brother met with your father's doctor yesterday. They talked for an hour at a restaurant in Victoria Island. Kunle's heart races. What did they say? Couldn't get close enough, but the doctor handed him some papers. Papers, evidence, proof of his father's diminished capacity. It has to be. Kunle meets with barrister Okonkwo again, practically vibrating with excitement. The doctor has documents. We need to subpoena them. That's privileged medical information, Kunle. We'll need a court order and, even then, get it, whatever it takes. The lawyer makes a note, his pen scratching across paper like claws. This is getting expensive. I don't care about the cost, but he should. The bills are already piling up. Legal fees, investigator costs, the retainer for Okonkwo. Kunle's savings are hemorrhaging, Amara notices. You spent 80,000 naira yesterday on what? Legal fees. Kunle, we're supposed to be saving for the wedding. The wedding can wait. Once I get my inheritance, we'll have the biggest wedding Lagos has ever seen. She looks at him like she's seeing a stranger. I don't want the biggest wedding. I just want you back. Kunle brushes her off and heads to his father's old workshop, the place where Chief Adebayo started his furniture business 40 years ago. It's been locked since the funeral, covered in dust and memories. Kunle has a key. He hasn't been here in months, maybe years. The smell hits him first, sawdust and machine oil and time. His father's tools still hang on the walls, organised with military precision. The workbench where Chief Adebayo taught both his sons to sand wood until their hands bled. Kunle moves through the space like a ghost, opening drawers, rifling through papers. Most of it is old invoices, sketches, business records from decades ago. Then, in the bottom drawer of his father's desk, hidden under a stack of yellowed newspapers, Kunle finds it. A document. Thick paper, legal letterhead. Last Will and Testament of Chief Olusegun Adebayo. Dated 3 years earlier than the one the lawyer read. His hands shake as he unfolds it. The words swim before his eyes, but 2 things are crystal clear. This will split everything 50-50 between both sons, and it's unsigned. Kunle's breath comes in short gasps. This is it. This is proof that his father changed his mind, that the later will favouring David was the real manipulation. He pulls out his phone, photographs every page, then carefully refolds the document. He needs to show this to Okonkwo immediately. The lawyer examines the document under a desk lamp, turning pages slowly. Where did you find this? My father's workshop, hidden in his desk. And you're certain he wrote this? That's his handwriting. Look at the signature line. He started to sign but stopped. Okonkwo frowns. That's the problem, Kunle. It's unsigned. In legal terms, this document is worthless. But it shows intent. It proves he wanted us to share. It proves nothing. An unsigned will has no legal standing. For all we know, he changed his mind, which is why he never signed it. Kunle feels the floor tilting beneath him. There has to be something we can do. We can present it as evidence of your father's wavering judgment, but honestly, it might hurt more than help. It shows he considered multiple options and ultimately chose the signed will. No. Kunle snatches the document back. No, there's more here. There has to be. He storms out of the office, document clutched to his chest like a shield. At home, Kunle spreads the unsigned will across the dining table, studying every word, every crossed-out phrase, every margin note. Amara watches from the kitchen doorway. What is that? Proof that my father wanted me to have my share. Kunle, when are you going to stop this? Stop what? Fighting for what's mine? Fighting with your brother. You two used to be inseparable. That was before he stabbed me in the back. Amara sets down the dish she's holding with more force than necessary. Did he? Or did your father simply make a choice you didn't like? You don't understand. Then explain it to me. Kunle looks up, and for a moment the anger wavers, replaced by something raw and desperate. All my life, David was the golden child, the smart one, the one with the books and the awards. I was just the workhorse, the one who got his hands dirty so David could stay clean. And now, even in death, my father chooses him. Maybe your father saw something you don't. Like what? Like maybe David needs it more, or maybe your father knew you'd be fine on your own. I don't want to be fine on my own. I want what I earned. Amara shakes her head slowly. You're losing yourself, Kunle, and you're losing me. She walks into the bedroom and closes the door. The next morning, Kunle wakes to find Amara gone. Not just out for errands, gone. Her clothes, her toiletries, the little things that made the apartment theirs. There's a note on the pillow. I can't watch you destroy yourself. I love you, but I love the man you used to be, not whoever you're becoming. Call me when you find him again. Kunle crumples the note. Fine. She doesn't understand. Nobody understands. He gets dressed and heads to David's office. His brother works at an architecture firm in Ikoyi, one of those modern glass buildings that looks like it costs more to cool than most people earn in a year. Kunle pushes past the receptionist, takes the stairs 3 at a time. David's office is on the 4th floor, corner window, view of the harbour. Of course. We need to talk, Kunle announces, slamming the unsigned will onto David's desk. David looks up from his computer, surprise flickering across his face before settling into resignation. Kunle, you can't just... I found this in Father's workshop. David's eyes drop to the document. Something crosses his face, something Kunle can't read. Where, exactly? His desk, bottom drawer. You knew about this, didn't you? David hesitates. Yes, I knew. The admission hits like a punch. You knew and you said nothing. It's unsigned, Kunle. It doesn't mean anything legally. It means Father wanted us to share. It means the will you're hiding behind is a fraud. David stands slowly, and Kunle realizes his younger brother is taller now. When did that happen? I'm not hiding behind anything. Father made his choice with full capacity and sound mind. Then why did he write this one first? Because people change their minds. Because wills are living documents until the moment we die. Because maybe, just maybe, he saw something in those last months that made him reconsider. Saw what? Kunle's voice is rising. Saw you, brother. Saw how you counted every naira, measured every gift, kept score of every visit like it was a transaction. The words land like stones. Kunle feels his face burning. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you visited father without asking about the business? When did you last sit with him just to sit, not to audit his decisions or remind him of your sacrifices? I worked for everything he built. So did he, and it was his to give however he wanted. Kunle grabs the document off the desk. This isn't over. It could be, David says quietly. It could be over today if you'd just let it go. But Kunle is already walking out, document in hand, heart hammering against his ribs. Days blur into weeks. Kunle becomes obsessed. He stops showing up to his own job, a senior position at a logistics company where he's worked for 8 years. His boss calls. Kunle, you've missed 3 important meetings. The clients are asking questions. Family emergency. For 3 weeks. I'll be back soon. We need you here now. We have the Shanghai deal closing. I said I'll be back. There's a long pause. I'm sorry, Kunle. We can't hold your position any longer. Click. The job is gone. Just like that, 8 years evaporated. Kunle tells himself it doesn't matter. Once he gets his inheritance, he won't need their job anyway. But at night, alone in his apartment, the silence is deafening. He starts showing up at family properties. The warehouse in Apapa, the rental apartments in Yaba, the commercial building in Marina. Each time, the managers give him the same story. Mr. David is handling everything now. I'm the heir too. We have our instructions, sir. At the warehouse, Kunle tries to push past the security guard. I have a right to be here. Please leave, or I'll have to call the police. This is my father's property. It's Mr. David's property now, sir. Please. The guard's hand moves to his radio. Kunle leaves, humiliation burning in his throat. Chidi, the investigator, calls with an update. Your brother's been moving money, large transfers. Offshore accounts. Can you track where? Not easily. He's using legitimate channels, everything by the book. There has to be something, some mistake, some oversight. I'm looking, but Kunle. Chidi's voice softens. Maybe it's time to consider that there's nothing to find. Keep looking. Kunle hangs up and immediately regrets it. The investigator's fees are draining what's left of his savings. He's behind on rent, behind on car payments, living on instant noodles and desperation. His phone buzzes, bank alert, account overdrawn. He closes his eyes, leans back against the wall, and for the first time in weeks, the anger cracks. And beneath it is something darker. Fear. What if they're all right? What if this is just greed? No, I have come too far. I can't stop now. He calls Barrister Okonkwo. File the lawsuit today. Kunle, we've been through this without solid evidence. File it. I don't care. Make it public. Put pressure on him. That's going to cost. I know what it costs. Do it. The lawsuit makes the papers. Brothers battle over billionaire father's fortune. The story spreads faster than before, meaner this time. People take sides. Social media erupts. Team Kunle, Team David. Strangers dissect his life, his choices, his worth. Someone digs up his employment termination. The narrative shifts. Jobless man sues successful brother. The comments are brutal. Greed got him fired. He wants money he didn't earn. The father knew what he was doing. Kunle stops reading, but he can't stop knowing they're out there, thousands of people judging him, pitching his life like he's a character in a story. Uncle Tunda calls. You need to drop this, Kunle. You're embarrassing the family. The family embarrassed me first. Your father made a choice. Honor it. He made the wrong choice. Then live with it like a man instead of crying like a child. Kunle hangs up. That's another bridge burned. He's running out of bridges. The court date arrives on a humid Tuesday that feels like the city is holding its breath. Kunle sits at the plaintiff's table in clothes he can barely afford to dry clean anymore. Across the aisle, David sits with his lawyer, a senior advocate who charges what Kunle used to make in a month. The proceedings are technical, boring, motions and counter-motions. Okonkwo does his best, but the other side dismantles every argument with surgical precision. The unsigned will, inadmissible. The allegations of undue influence, no evidence. The medical records they finally obtained show Chief Adebayo was of sound mind until the very end. By lunch recess, even Okonkwo looks defeated. They're going to throw this out, he admits. We can appeal. With what money, Kunle? It's a fair question. Kunle has already borrowed from friends, maxed out credit cards, pawned his watch. The only thing he has left is the car, and he needs that to get around. I'll find a way. Okonkwo sighs. Even if you win, which you won't, the legal fees will consume whatever you might gain. You understand that, right? Kunle doesn't answer. In the hallway during break, he comes face to face with David. They stand there, two men who once shared everything, separated now by more than just space. You could end this, David says quietly. Withdraw the suit. We'll talk. Talk about what? How you stole my birthright. I didn't steal anything. Then why won't you split it? Why won't you do what the unsigned will said? David's jaw tightens. Because father changed his mind, Kunle. He had reasons. What reasons? Ask yourself that. Really ask. The judge dismisses the case before dinner. Insufficient evidence. Frivolous lawsuit. Kunle is ordered to pay court costs. He walks out of the courthouse into rain that feels personal. Okonkwo catches up with him on the steps. I'm sorry. How much do I owe you? Let's not worry about that now. How much? 170,000. But like I said, Kunle laughs, a sound like breaking glass. I don't have it, I don't have anything. We can work out a payment plan. But Kunle is already walking away into the rain, into the gathering dark, into the wreckage of what his life has become. Hugh Mugui. He goes to the family house, the one where they grew up. It's empty now, waiting to be sold. Kunle has a key. He lets himself in, dripping water across the floors his mother used to polish until they shone. The furniture is covered in white sheets, ghost shapes in the darkness. He moves through rooms full of memories. The kitchen where their mother taught them to cook. The living room where they watched football together, shouting at the TV. The study where their father worked late into the night, building something from nothing. Kunle sinks into his father's old chair. It still smells faintly of him, cologne and paper and the mentholatum he used for his arthritis. Why? Kunle asks the empty room. Why did you choose him? No answer comes. Just silence and the sound of rain on the roof. His phone rings. David. Kunle stares at the screen, watches it ring and ring until it stops. A message appears. I'm at the house. I saw your car. Please, let's talk. Footsteps on the porch, a key in the lock. David appears in the doorway, shaking rain from his jacket. The brothers look at each other across the darkness. How did you know I'd be here? Kunle asks. Because I would be here too, if I were you. David moves into the room, careful, like approaching a wounded animal. We need to end this, brother. You could have ended it months ago. You could have shared. David sits in the chair across from him, the one that was their mother's. I was going to. The words hang in the air. Kunle's breath catches. What? The day we left the lawyer's office, I was going to offer you 50-50. That's why I was quiet. I was trying to find the words. Something cold spreads through Kunle's chest. You're lying. I'm not. Ask Barrister Adderwale. I met with him the next day to arrange it, but then what? Then you started the war. The accusations, the investigators, the lawsuit. Every time I tried to reach out, there was another attack, another public accusation, another burned bridge. So this is my fault. This is consequences, Kunle, cause and effect. David leans forward. Do you know why Father really changed the will? Kunle doesn't answer. Because he saw this coming. Not the specifics, but the shape of it. He knew that if he split everything 50-50, you'd still find something to fight about. Some percentage point, some property valuation, some ancient grievance. That's not true, isn't it? Be honest. Would it ever have been enough? The question hits like a blade between ribs. Kunle wants to say yes, wants to believe it, but doubt creeps in like smoke. Father left you the will, David continues. Not to punish you, but to teach you. He hoped you'd realize that the inheritance wasn't the point. The business, the money, the properties, they were just things. The real inheritance was supposed to be each other. That's convenient philosophy from the man who got everything. I didn't get everything, Kunle. I got the burden. Do you know how many sleepless nights I've had managing Father's empire? How many decisions I've agonized over? How many times I've wished you were there beside me, helping, like we used to do? You shut me out. You stormed out. There's a difference. David reaches into his jacket and pulls out a folder. This is what I wanted to show you that day, what I've been trying to give you this whole time. He slides it across. Kunle opens it. Inside are documents, transfer papers, deeds. What is this? Your 50% of everything, signed over to you, effective immediately. The room spins. I don't understand. The offshore accounts your investigator found, I was setting them up for you. The money transfers, your share. I've been trying to give you what Father wanted us to have together, but you were so busy fighting me, you couldn't see it. Kunle's hands shake. The papers blur. But the court case, the lawyer said I was within my legal rights to keep everything, which I was. That doesn't mean I wanted to. Then why didn't you just say something? I tried, Kunle. I called. I texted. I showed up at your apartment. You blocked me everywhere. It's true. All of it true. Kunle remembers deleting the messages without reading them, sending calls straight to voicemail, slamming the door in David's face that time he showed up at 2 a.m. I thought you were gloating. I was trying to apologize. For what? For being the one Father chose, for having to watch you tear yourself apart, for not fighting harder to make you listen. David's voice cracks. You're my brother, Kunle, my only brother, and I watched you lose everything, your job, your fiancé, your savings, your dignity, all over something I was trying to give you freely. The words land like hammer blows. Each one a piece of the truth Kunle has been running from. His job, gone because he couldn't let go. Amara, gone because he chose money over love. His savings, evaporated chasing ghosts. His reputation, shredded by his own actions. The price of greed, Kunle whispers. What? Nothing. Something someone said. He looks at the documents, the 50% David is offering now, after everything. It's too late. It's never too late. I destroyed it all. The lawsuit cost you money, embarrassed the family, made us both look like fools. Money I can make back. Embarrassment fades. Brothers are irreplaceable. David stands, moves closer. Take it, please, let's end this. Kunle looks up at his brother, really looks at him for the first time in months. David has aged. There are lines around his eyes that weren't there before, grey streaking his temples. The weight of managing their father's empire and watching his brother self-destruct has left its mark. I'm sorry, Kunle says, and suddenly he's crying, great heaving sobs that shake his whole body. I'm so sorry, David. I thought you betrayed me, but I was the one who betrayed us. David kneels beside the chair, pulls his brother into an embrace. We're going to fix this, together. The weeks that follow are strange, delicate, like learning to walk again after a long illness. Kunle moves back home temporarily, into his old room in the family house. David is there most days, and slowly, carefully, they begin to rebuild. They go through their father's papers together, dividing properties, making decisions, running the business. It's awkward at first. Years of resentment and months of war don't evaporate overnight. But there are moments, small ones. David makes a joke, the kind only brothers would understand. Kunle laughs, really laughs, for the first time in forever. They're reviewing contracts one evening when Kunle finds a letter tucked into a ledger, their father's handwriting. To my sons, it begins. If you're reading this, I'm gone, and I hope you found your way through the storm I left behind. I made many decisions in my life, not all of them good, but the hardest was deciding what to leave you both. I knew that money would test you. It tests everyone. So I left you something harder than wealth. I left you the choice of who you want to be. Kunle, you have always been strong, determined, willing to fight for what you believe is yours. But strength without wisdom becomes tyranny, and determination without love becomes obsession. I hope you learn to choose love. David, you have always been thoughtful, generous, willing to see all sides. But thoughtfulness without action becomes paralysis, and generosity without boundaries becomes weakness. I hope you learned when to stand firm. Together you were supposed to be complete. What one lacked, the other provided. That was my real inheritance, not the properties or the accounts, but each other. I'm sorry I couldn't make you see it more clearly. I'm sorry I couldn't stay to guide you through. But I trust that you'll find your way. You always have. With all my love, your father. Kunle reads it twice, then hands it to David. They sit in silence after, the letter resting between them. He knew, Kunle finally says. He knew exactly what would happen. He hoped we'd be better than we were. We weren't. But we could be now. Kunle nods slowly. Outside, the sun is setting over Lagos, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. I need to make things right, Kunle says. Starting with Amara. She'll talk to you. I saw her last week. She asked about you. You've been in touch with her. Someone had to make sure you had people who cared, even when you were pushing everyone away. It's such a David thing to do, protecting his brother even while being attacked by him. Thank you, Kunle says simply, for not giving up on me. You're my brother. I couldn't if I tried. They work until late, sorting through documents, making plans. At one point, Kunle finds the unsigned will, the one he thought would save him. He looks at it now with different eyes, seeing what he couldn't see before. His father had written this first, trying to be fair, trying to split everything evenly. But then he'd seen something, understood something, and changed course. Not to punish or reward, but to teach. The lesson had cost Kunle nearly everything to learn. What shall we do with this? Kunle asks, holding up the unsigned will. David considers. Burn it? No, keep it, as a reminder. Of what? Of how close I came to losing what actually mattered. 6 months later, Kunle stands outside Amara's apartment, flowers in hand, heart hammering like it did the first time he asked her out. She opens the door, surprise and caution warring on her face. Kunle, I know I have no right to be here. I know I burned that bridge along with all the others. But I wanted you to know that I heard what you said about losing myself. You were right. She doesn't invite him in, but she doesn't close the door either. What changed? I found him again. The man you fell in love with, or at least I'm trying to. Because of the inheritance. Because I lost it all and realized the only thing that mattered was what I'd thrown away. Amara looks at him for a long moment. The money doesn't matter to me, Kunle. It never did. I know, but it took me losing everything to understand that. So what now? Now I'm asking if you'd be willing to have coffee with me. Just coffee. No promises, no expectations. Just a chance to show you I'm not that person anymore. She takes the flowers, smells them. Coffee, 1 hour. If you spend any of it talking about business or inheritance, I'm walking out. Deal. They go to a small cafe in Ikeja, the kind of place they used to frequent before everything went wrong. They talk about small things, normal things. She tells him about her work, her family, the book she's reading. He listens, really listens, not just waiting for his turn to speak. An hour becomes 2. 2 becomes dinner. When he drops her home, she kisses his cheek. Thank you for finding yourself again. Thank you for waiting. The business flourishes under joint management. Kunle brings his operational expertise, David his strategic vision. Together, they expand into new markets, modernize systems, honor their father's legacy while building their own. They establish a foundation in their father's name, funding education and small businesses. Every scholarship, every loan, carries a lesson about stewardship over ownership. One evening, they're locking up the family house for what might be the last time. They've decided to turn it into a youth centre, a place where kids can learn trades and skills. Kunle pauses at the doorway, looking back at the empty rooms. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I'd just accepted the will that first day? David joins him, follows his gaze. Sometimes. I destroyed so much, wasted so much time. You learned. That's not nothing. It cost me a year of my life, my job, my savings. Almost cost me you, almost cost me Amara. But it didn't. In the end, it cost you only what you were willing to sacrifice for it. Kunle thinks about that, about the price of greed, paid in installments of shame and loss and loneliness, about how the inheritance he fought for so desperately had been his all along, waiting for him to stop fighting. Father was right, he says quietly. The real inheritance was each other. And the real test was whether we'd figure that out before it was too late. They pull the door closed, lock it. The setting sun catches in the windows, making the old house glow like it's full of light instead of empty. As they walk to their cars, Kunle feels something lift, a weight he didn't realize he'd been carrying. Not just the anger or the bitterness, but the need to keep score, to measure worth in naira and properties and who got what. Brother, David calls from across the parking area. Yeah? Same time next week. We still need to review the Abuja expansion. I'll be there. Kunle drives home through the Lagos night, past the warehouses and apartment buildings and commercial centres that are now half his. Not because he fought for them, but because his brother chose to share. The inheritance he deserves, not for what he did, but for finally understanding what mattered. At home, there's a message from Amara. "Dinner tomorrow, my place, I'm cooking." He smiles, responds, "I'll bring dessert." Life isn't perfect. The scars from those months of war still ache sometimes. There are people who still don't speak to him, bridges burned beyond repair. But he has his brother. He has a second chance with Amara. He has work that means something. And he has the hardest lesson of all behind him, that the things you fight for most desperately are often the things that destroy you, while the things worth having come only when you're willing to let them go. Chief Adebayo's final gift to his sons wasn't the wealth he'd accumulated or the empire he'd built. It was the space to fail, to fracture, to fall, and then to find their way back to each other. That night, Kunle dreams of his father. They're in the old workshop, sunlight streaming through the windows, sawdust dancing in the air. Chief Adebayo is at his workbench, sanding a piece of wood with patient practice strokes. "You took the long way around," his father says without looking up. "I did. But you got there. Eventually." Chief Adebayo finally looks at him, and his eyes are warm, proud. "That's all I wanted. Not perfection, just persistence, not success, just the willingness to try again. I'm sorry I disappointed you." "You didn't disappoint me, son. You proved me right. You proved that no matter how far you fall, you can find your way back. With help. Always with help. None of us make it alone." Kunle wakes to sunlight and birdsong and the knowledge that today he'll share breakfast with his brother, dinner with the woman he loves, and every day after that with the hard-won wisdom that the price of greed isn't paid in money. It's paid in moments lost, relationships broken, and time you can never get back. But redemption is free. You just have to be willing to accept it. Thank you for watching this story with us. If it touched your heart or taught you something valuable, please hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to Fair African Tales for more powerful stories that inspire and transform. See you in the next story.